Welcome back, everybody, to the New York Knicks, MyNBA franchise here on NBA 2K23. We have made it to the trade deadline here in season number 5, and as you can probably tell by the title, today's episode is going to be wild. There's going to be a bunch of big moves across the league, and I'm really excited to dive into the NBA's landscape, basically flipping on its side. As it stands, our Knicks are 40-12. We are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and we will most certainly be buyers at this year's trade deadline. Not only do we have the best record in the conference, but we have the best winning percentage in all of the NBA. We're third in points per game, we have the number 1 scoring defense, and we have the best point differential across the entire league, with the Utah Jazz being the only other team with at least 10. So clearly our team is pretty good. We don't have too many holes, and there's not a huge amount of areas where we need to improve, but we can certainly add some vets and look to get better. The Washington Wizards are comfortably in second place, and then the rest of the Eastern Conference is super tight. It'll be interesting to see if those teams in the middle really focus on buying or selling. As for the Western Conference, it's a little more crystal clear. We've got the top 4 with Seattle, Houston, Utah, and OKC as the clear best teams in the conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves, our friends out west, are currently in 5th. They also have the 5th best point differential. So Minnesota's kind of in their own little island because there's 4 really good teams in the West. Then you have the Timberwolves, and then you have everybody else who is either mid or bad. As we look at this Knicks roster, we've obviously got the star power to go all the way and win a championship. I think we have the depth as well, but it certainly would not hurt to add some more talented vets, and I think that's what we're going to do here today at the trade deadline. We've got the assets to go out and make a semi-big move, so why not do it if the price is right? As for the Timberwolves, I don't think we need to try to rush the rebuild, but it wouldn't hurt to add another piece. The Timberwolves will certainly be trending more towards buying rather than selling because they're 5th in the West and they are quite good. So we know where New York and Minnesota stand, but what about the rest of the league? I want to look at the bottom of the standings specifically because I think this will really tell us what teams could look to be sellers. There's a lot of older teams with veteran stars here towards the bottom. Look at Golden State, Phoenix, Dallas, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, etc. All of these teams could look to be sellers and start rebuilds. I think the Phoenix Suns in particular certainly need to tear it down and start fresh. The Kevin Durant and Devin Booker pairing has not worked out, to put it lightly, and I think both of those players would be better off elsewhere. The Blazers currently in the playoff spot, but it would make sense for them to start over. The Warriors could look to start over as well with Poole, Wiggins, and maybe even Steph Curry out the door. The Cleveland Cavaliers are not as good as they've been, and it looks like their championship window might be closing. Could they make a move? Jaylen Brown, Tyler Hero, and Trae Young are nearing the end of their contracts, and they are all playing for pretty mediocre teams. The Canes have a few guys they could look to trade in order to build around their star player, Osvaldo Ledo. The Hornets have been disappointing. Could they make a surprising move? The Giannis and Embiid pairing is not working out, and Embiid is on the final year of his contract. Could he be on the move? And then, of course, the biggest name potentially on the move this trade deadline is Luka Doncic with the Dallas Mavericks. Luka is on the final year of his contract. He's actually been holding out over the last 10 games because he no longer wants to be here. He has officially requested a trade from Dallas. He feels that the Mavericks have not done a good job of building around him, and it is time to move on. So we will most certainly see a Luka trade today. I think our team does have a good amount of assets. Obviously, we traded a lot of them to acquire Anthony Edwards last year, but we still have 4 first-rounders within the next 2 years. We've got plenty of good young players. We don't necessarily have the assets to maybe go out and get Luka, but we still could get someone who is pretty good. However, I don't think it would be in our best interest to really go out and make a gigantic splash. That's what we did last offseason with Anthony Edwards. I like the roster the way it is. We've got a good blend of young guys, star players in their prime, and depth as well. I do still think it would be a good idea to go out and trade for a veteran who might not cost as much as some of those other high-level players we just went over. So I took a look at some of the older players in the league who could be looking to ring chase, and a name to keep an eye on would be Damian Lillard in Portland. He's on the last year of his deal. I think it would make sense for Dame and the Blazers to finally split up. I think it would also make sense to maybe look for a big. The one area we really lack is front court depth. But unfortunately, there aren't many good older players in the front court other than like Joel Embiid, who would probably cost a whole lot to go out and get. So we're going to go back to Damian Lillard. I put him in the trade finder, and clearly it's not going to be impossible to get him. I don't like most of these deals, but this first one, Kepri Kane and a first-round pick, this intrigues me. The problem is I am not willing to trade a first-round pick for 36-year-old regressing Damian Lillard, who's on a $63 million contract. I'd rather give up some young players like Kepri Kane and Kai Paris, who don't really get minutes for us. They said no, and the Blazers put in a counter. Matisse Thybulle and the first-round pick I decided to take out, and the Blazers would ultimately accept. The official trade is Kepri Kane, Kai Paris, and a 2031 second-round pick in exchange for Damian Lillard. Lillard's value has really gone down over the past few years because he's not the same player he once was. He's averaging around 16-5 this year for the Blazers. He's obviously been a great player for that organization for 15 years now, but I think it makes sense for both sides to split. Lillard will likely come off the bench this season, and he's likely only a rental. I don't see him being a long-term piece, considering he's 36 and actively getting worse. As for the Blazers, they can finally start their rebuild. I do like Kepri Kane quite a bit. I think he's going to be a really good role player in the future, but he's just not ready yet, and he is a free agent at the end of the season. Since he was a second-round pick, he only signed for 2 years. Kai Paris never really got an opportunity to prove himself here in New York. Hopefully he will in Portland, and they had that second rounder as well. I think that's a good deal for both sides. The Blazers get to start over. They get something for Damian Lillard, a player who barely has any value at this point in his career. And as for us, we got ourselves a new sixth man. I think he's going to be a really good fit off the bench for us as a spark plug. We don't have a true point guard off the bench, so adding him, I think, will be able to create a new dynamic for the offense, particularly the second unit. And he can always close games because he's one of the most clutch players in the league. We do have an open roster spot, so I'm going to look to potentially sign somebody. And the player who caught my attention was Steven Adams. He's not really going to play for us, but he's a good character guy who his teammates really like. I think he can be a good leader. Him and Damian Lillard can now be the old heads in the locker room. He's been around the block. He was with some of those OKC teams with KD and Russell Westbrook. He's bounced around since then with New Orleans, Memphis, Indiana, and Chicago. I think a 1-year minimum. I think he'd be able to make a positive impact off the floor with our team. That's the only move we're going to make here at the trade deadline, going out and getting Damian Lillard. It's not a crazy move considering where Lillard is at this stage in his career, but I do think it is going to be a good trade for us. As for Minnesota, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more aggressive. I don't want to sell the farm or do anything crazy. I don't want to rush the rebuild. But this team is quite good. We're the 5 seed in the Western Conference. Coco Diablo and Apollo Thanopoulos are both very, very good at basketball. There's a talented group of young players on this roster. Thanopoulos is now second for MVP, while Coco leads for most improved player. And of course, neither of them made the All-Star team because this game is really stupid. A name who I thought would make a lot of sense here is Jaylen Brown. I think him, Coco, and Thanopoulos could be a really nice big three. I think Jaylen Brown would fit with those two guys quite well. He's on the last year of his deal. The Clippers would be smart to trade him, but there's nothing in the trade finder. So I decided to set my sights a little bit lower, and I think Markelle Fultz could be intriguing. The Magic have been pretty mediocre this season, and Fultz is actually playing really well. He's averaging 18 and 8. He's also a free agent at the end of the season, so I think making a move with him could make sense. 2 of these trades have AJ Griffin. I am not willing to trade Griffin. He's been really good. But I think this second one with Alonzo Corbett is a little bit more reasonable. Corbett is also a free agent this year. So I decided to start by offering these two pretty much straight up. I think Corbett's a good young player, but we have a lot of guys like him, which is why his numbers are down. I don't want to give up a first-round pick if I don't have to, so I decided to add J.R. Johnson, a decent young player, along with a second-round pick going our way, and the Magic would accept it. So Markelle Fultz is now in Minnesota. He can be the third option, and I think he can be a long-term piece here for the T-Wolves. We have an open roster spot, so we're going to sign big man Vachan Kodali. He's only 22 years old. I think he could be an intriguing long-term project. We're going to sign him to a 1-year deal with a team option for the second season for a little bit under $3 million. So that's going to be the move here for Minnesota. Markelle Fultz will be the permanent shooting guard going forward. I really like him and Coco Diablo in the backcourt together. I think their blend of scoring and playmaking will really complement each other very well. So those are going to be the only moves that our two teams make. But what about the rest of the league? We've got some big moves on tap. And obviously, as I said earlier, you got to keep your eye on the bottom of the standings because there's going to be a lot of teams wheeling and dealing. Look at this upcoming free agency class. It is loaded. As we go down to Trae Young, most of these guys are on bad teams. Other than Anthony Edwards and SGA, all of those players from Luka to Trae Young could be on the move. And we're going to start with Luka. It's pretty apparent that he does not want to come back to Dallas this summer. So at this point, the Mavericks' only choice would be to trade him away. They've tried to hold on to him for as long as possible, and it's kind of backfired. A team who quietly is really developing well and has a lot of assets is the Philadelphia 76ers. They've built around Shaggy Lewis really well, and they have a boatload of draft picks. 12 first-round picks within the next 5 seasons, multiple first-rounders in each of those seasons. If any team has what it takes to get Luka, it's the Philadelphia 76ers, and both sides would agree to a deal. Alexander Starcevic and Ainsworth Dillingham are going to the Mavericks along with 4 first-rounders of Dallas's choice, the most notable of those picks being Dallas's first-rounder next year, which could end up being very valuable. The Mavericks are going to get their own pick back in exchange for Luka and Spencer Dinwiddie. That's probably not enough for Luka realistically, but since he's on the last year of his deal, Dallas does not have as much leverage. As for the Sixers, they get a new face of their franchise, but they need somebody else to pair with Luka. Otherwise, he's just going to lead the Sixers in the offseason, and I think Jaylen Brown could be a good running mate. So the Sixers will trade Blake Wesley, Brandon Bridges, 3 first-rounders, and a second to the Clippers for Jaylen Brown. So the Sixers have a new dynamic duo of the future with Luka and Jaylen Brown while keeping all of their top players like Sohan, Balkheimer, and of course, Shaggy Lewis. They also have at least 1 first-round pick every single season going forward, so they still have plenty of flexibility with their draft picks. The Sixers are going in. They're currently the 8th seed, but they're only 1 game back of the 3rd seed, so you have to assume they're going to climb up in the standings quite a bit. The Mavericks have a lot of older players on their roster, and now that they are all in for a rebuild, it would make sense to move these guys. They're going to trade James Harden back to the Rockets, and they're going to trade Paul George to the Wizards for G Leaguers and second-round picks. Those guys are not worth anything at this stage in their career. Malcolm Brogdon and Dylan Brooks are worth a little bit more, but still not much. So the Mavericks will be getting back Kenji Kamada and Jabari Walker along with 3 second-round picks. So the Mavericks are starting to build an army of draft picks. They don't have many good young players, but they're now finally embracing the rebuild. The Suns need to rebuild as well. They have the young star with Johnny Conchery who they need to build around, and it's time for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker to move on. So we've got a blockbuster 3-team trade. Devin Booker is off to the Detroit Pistons, while Kevin Durant is off to the Washington Wizards. The cool thing about this is both players are returning to their hometown team. Devin Booker is from Michigan, and Kevin Durant is from the DMV. So in exchange from the Pistons, the Suns are going to get a bunch of really good assets. The Pistons are a good team with Cade, Ivy, Kawhi Leonard, but that's not enough. They need another piece, and that'll be Devin Booker. So they'll be giving up Justice Baxter, Banyu Wibawa, Josh Primo, and 2 first-round picks to get it done. And along with Devin Booker, they will also be getting Mikal Bridges and Jonas Valanciunas. So the Pistons are really beefing up their roster for right now. Kevin Durant and Cam Payne are on the move to the Wizards for Grant Williams, Kostas Papadakis, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. KD's 38 years old. He's not going to cost as much as Devin Booker. Again, you could argue those players have more value, but they are getting older and they're both starting to regress, so their value goes down a little bit. The Chicago Bulls are another team who I think could make a move, led by their young core of Jalen Witherspoon, Malachi Branham, and Jalen Duren. They've been one of the biggest surprises across the league. And with Trae Young and Joel Embiid both as free agents, the Bulls are going to make a splash for one of them, being Trae Young. The Hawks have not been able to build around Trae properly, and I think Trae would look to leave Atlanta this offseason. So they will be getting back Day-Day Frost, Dalen Terry, Uziel Stone-Shaw, and a bunch of draft picks. The Bulls have Milwaukee's first rounder next year. That's going to be a valuable pick that they're going to be able to hold on to. They were able to get this deal done without the Milwaukee pick, which I think is a really big deal. The Bucks are the worst team in the league this year, and they're probably going to continue to be really bad. Aaron Gordon and Nikhil Bourbon are also on the move from the Hawks to Chicago. We've got some smaller but still significant moves. Reth Obiambo, Kenny Cooks, and a first-rounder are going to the Warriors for Jordan Poole, Derek White, and some seconds. The Nets are pretty good. They're looking to get better while Golden State tries to start their rebuild. Dragon Jang, Tai Washington, and a first are going to the Grizzlies for Desmond Bane and Malik Beasley. The Jazz add another piece to their core. Jaden Springer and Benji Gardner are going to the Cavaliers for Colin Sexton. The Sonics don't really have a true sixth man, and that'll be Sexton's new role. Christian Harris and 2 second-rounders are going to the Blazers for Pascal Siakam. The Baltimore Red Tails get quite a bit better, while the Blazers trade away their other veteran, and they can really kickstart their rebuild. Okay, that was a lot. I know we had some crazy moves here at the trade deadline. I was not lying to you guys in the title. This, in fact, was probably the craziest deadline ever. The Mavericks, the Suns, they are amongst the new rebuilding teams, along with the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Clippers, basically the entire Western Conference. The Atlanta Hawks will also be rebuilding now, while the 76ers add Luka Doncic and Jaylen Brown. They'll be contending. The Bulls add a true superstar with Trey. The Pistons add Devin Booker. The Washington Wizards add Kevin Durant. The hometown guys returning to where they're from with Booker and KD. And then a bunch of smaller moves as well. If you noticed a pattern with those trades, most of those big moves were with teams in the East getting better. The Jazz and Sonics made semi-big moves with Colin Sexton and Desmond Bane, but all the action was in the East. The Wizards added KD, the Red Tails added Pascal Siakam, the Nets added Jordan Poole, the Bulls added Trae Young, the Pistons added Devin Booker, the Sixers added Luka Doncic and Jaylen Brown. All of these teams in the East got better, whereas all these teams in the West stood pat. The reason is, I think more teams in the East think that this conference race is wide open. While there's really 4 great teams in the West, the only great team in the East is us, and we have not shown the ability to perform well in the playoffs. We've only won 1 playoff series within this entire franchise series, so all of these other teams behind us in the East think that they had the capability to get past us in the playoffs by making all of these big moves. So our road to the championship just got a whole lot trickier. Of the top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference, the only one who did not make a move to buy was the Toronto Raptors, and I honestly think that's pretty smart of them. While it hurts their chances of winning a title this year, it's probably going to help them in the long run because they have a really good young core with plenty of assets. So why sell your soul for the devil like all these other teams when you know you're going to be good for quite a while? The Raptors are still, I think, 4th place in the conference, so they're still one of the better teams as is. And it's going to be a tough matchup here at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Canada, as the Knicks win the tip, and we are underway. Damian Lillard will be making his New York debut, coming off the bench as the 6th man, as Scotty Barnes quickly goes inside for the and one. The Knicks had a crazy game that we played earlier in the season against the Raptors. New York lost that one with Scotty Barnes and Jaron Cinco both playing very well. Nice offensive rebound by Tatum. He makes the second chance shot off the glass, and he's got the first 4 points for the Knicks. Anthony Edwards with it inside for Cesar DiCarlo, and he is snuffed. What a block by Toronto. Following Knicks possession, DiCarlo back with it. Inside for Tatum, over to DJ Ramses, who lets it fly from deep. Now it's 9-4. Knicks off to a pretty good start here in the opening couple minutes. Jaron Cinco drives inside with a nice pass in the corner for Gary Trent Jr., who hits the 3 for the Raptors. 9-7 now your score. Cinco, the rookie, inside. Nice pass, and the shot is blocked as Gary Trent is injured, grabbing at what looks like his arm. Certainly not good news for Toronto. 9-7. Here's Tatum from deep, off the assist by DiCarlo. Tatum with 7 points now, off to a hot start tonight. Anthony Edwards, step back, no good, but Jarrett Allen is there with the offensive rebound, floats it back in for his first points of the day. Now 14-10. Edwards looks to drive inside. Edwards with the slam! Oh me, oh my! Anthony Edwards with a nasty poster. Now it's 18-10. Jaron Cinco drives inside, makes the layup off the glass. The rookie from the Overtime Elite Academy, drafted 4th overall. He's had a really solid rookie year for Toronto as he blocks DiCarlo. A great defensive play by Jaron Cinco. DiCarlo's been snuffed twice now in the first quarter. Damian Lillard in the game for the Knicks as he lobs it up for Zachariah Royster. A quick start for Damian Lillard. He gets his first assist as a Knick. 20-15 now. Franz Wagner Sends it in the corner for the former New York Knick, Wendell Moore, who hits the three. 20-18 now. Tatum with it inside. Nice pass. Good recovery. And killer Cam Reddish hits the three for New York. 23-28. There's Wagner. Misses from deep. Royster with the rebound. The Knicks in transition. It's Damian Lillard. Goes inside with the flush. Dame with his first points as a Knick, and it's now 25-20. Under a minute left in the quarter. Size mismatch here. Jaden Mokbel with it for Toronto. He makes the layup. Not a whole lot Dame could have done there. 25-22 now. Here's Lillard with it. Step back. Deep three. What time is it? It's Dame time. Damian Lillard with the three for New York. Turning back the clock like he's in his prime. Great shot for Dame Dalla. And it's 28-22. Final moments of the first quarter. Wagner with the screen from Achua. Heaves up the three. No good. And that'll wrap up the first 28-22. Pretty competitive game. The Knicks do hit the edge. So far, so good for Damian Lillard with 5 early points. He's 2 for 2 from the field. Into the second quarter now. Rams is no good. But the big fella, Jared Allen, is there with the throwdown. Nice play for Allen, and it's 30-22. Cinco with it for the Raptors. He's spinning around like a Beyblade. Heaves up the floater, no good. But the putback is for Mokbel. He was a pretty high first-round pick of theirs a couple years ago. Scotty Barnes back inside for Mokbel, who makes the layup. He just wanted to annihilate Royster down low. He wasn't able to get the dunk, but the layup will do. Scotty Barnes goes inside, looks to make a play, and he does as he makes it off the glass, falling forward as it's a 4-point game. DiCarlo for three, no good. Jared Allen's there with another offensive rebound. The glass cleaner making another play. 36-30. Quick pass inside, quick finish for Wendell Carter, and it's 36-32. Knicks looking to run the floor quickly. Tatum wide open. Deep three. Bang! Nice shot for Tatum. He had plenty of room, and he trusts his long range. 39-32 now. In the corner with it is Cinco, who drives inside and makes the left-handed layup. Nice play for the rookie. 39-36. Here's Dumbu. Drives inside and one for Khalif Dumbu. Wendell Moore is called for the foul. 42-40 now. Edwards inside. Passes tipped and stolen away by the Raptors. On the other end, here's Franz Wagner with the mid-ranger for the tie. And we are knotted up at 42. The Knicks looking to get the lead back. Edwards over to Damian Lillard. Lillard step back in the corner. Hits it! Damian Lillard with another triple as it's 45-42. Edwards step back in the corner. No good. Another offensive rebound, though, for Jared Allen. He gets it out to Dame. Deep three. No good. Allen's there again with another one. And he gets the putback. Jared Allen has been phenomenal tonight on the offensive glass, and he's taken advantage of his second chance opportunities. Tatum inside for the dunk. Knicks now lead by 7. Nice play by Tatum with the throwdown, 49-42. Franz Wagner with it for Toronto. Looking to make a play here with about 2 minutes left in the half as he bullies Anthony Edwards, and he gets the play. Edwards has been pretty blah so far today. He only has 4 points. He's been very inefficient. As Cam Reddish has it on the baseline. Edwards inside, makes the layup, draws the foul. It's an and one. His former teammate, Wendell Moore, is called for the foul. 56-46. Moore inside, snuffed at the rim. Buddy Johnson with the denial. Then on the other end, here's Lillard. Step back, 3-ball, got it. Damian Lillard with 11 points here in the first half in his Knicks debut. And New York is now ahead by 13. They're on a big run here to end the half as Wendell Moore misses the three. New York closes out the first half on a 17-4 run. The Knicks led somewhat comfortably early in the second quarter, and then the Raptors stormed back. But ever since then, the Knicks have been on fire, looking to keep things going in the second half. Shot no good. Here comes the Raptors in transition. Cinco with it, and Cinco throws it down. Nice early dunk for Toronto. 61-50 now. Cinco with it again. Lobs it up for Scotty Barnes. The Raptors are in takeover mode early here in the third quarter, and they look like a different team with a new energy. DiCarlo over to Ramses. He connects on the three. Big shot for the Knicks. They needed to get a bucket, get their double-digit lead back. Edwards with it, trying to dance circles around the defense, and he will end up making the layup. Edwards now with a measly 6 points as Toronto calls a timeout. The Raptors are right back down by 14. Cinco drives inside and flushes it again. The Raptors with 3 early powerful dunks here in the opening minutes of the third quarter. Franz Wagner with it. The 6th-year pro out of the University of Michigan gets it to Wendell Carter, who joins in the dunk fest as Four Eyes cuts the lead down to 10. 66-56. Nice dime in the corner. Three-pointer is good for Scotty Barnes, and it is now a 9-point lead. Barnes looks to go inside, and he is blocked by Allen. Gets it back to Wagner in the corner. No good. Ball is tipped. Back over to Wagner. Third time's the charm as he makes the shot. You can't allow them to get 3 shots on that possession and expect to come away without allowing points. Cinco loses it but gets it back. Again, you can't let them get second chance opportunities like this as Cinco throws down a powerful dunk in response. A big play by Cinco. 68-63 now. Jason Tatum lets it fly from the land of beyond. 71-63 now. Barnes has a wide open man. It's Wendell Moore who answers right back with a 3 of his own. 71-66 now. Pass is stolen away by Jaden Mokbel. Here comes Toronto in transition. Mokbel gets it over to Jaron Cinco. And inside with a dime for Scotty Barnes. The Raptors might just break the rim at this pace, the way they're dunking it here in the third quarter. Toronto playing some awesome basketball here out of the locker room. Ra Khalif Dumbu with a good answer. He hits the 3. 76-72. Damian Lillard back in the game. He was able to light a spark in the first half as his shot on the move is good. Lillard with a very efficient 13 points tonight off the bench in his Knicks debut. 80-74. Here Scotty Barnes looks to go inside. Barnes soft touch as he makes the jumper, and the lead is within 4. 80-76, about 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Cinco guarded by Damian Lillard. Cinco with the spin move inside, and he will make the jumper. Nice play by Jaron Cinco, making it 80-78. Dumbu drives over to Lillard. Lillard in the corner for the rookie out of the University of Florida. It's Buddy Johnson who hits the 3. Final seconds of the quarter. Lillard taking his time. Lillard gets it over to Johnson. Sidestep at the buzzer. Bang! Big end of the third quarter for Buddy Johnson as he hits a pair of 3s. And New York is now ahead 86-80. Into the fourth quarter. It's a 5-on-4 as Cinco throws it down. But the bigger deal for the Knicks is on the other end of the floor. Jarrett Allen is grabbing at his ankle. This could be really bad because the Knicks lack front court depth. Zachariah Royster can play center, and that's really about it. There's a reason why the Knicks inquired on getting a big this year at the deadline. Obviously, they didn't because there was nobody they really wanted over Lillard. But still, this could prove to be bad news. Tatum with the throwdown. He may need to play a little bit of center. Buddy Johnson may need to play center. Cam Reddish might play center. That's how desperate it is right now for the Knicks. Scotty Barnes bulldozing his way into the paint. Toronto makes it a 2-point game, 86-88. Here's DJ Ramses. His pass is intercepted by Scotty Barnes. Barnes over to Wagner. Wagner's mid-ranger for the tie is good, and we are knotted up at 88. Now we are tied at 90. Knicks looking to get their lead back. It's Anthony Edwards over to Cesar DiCarlo, the Italian stallion, who's had kind of a rough day scoring, but he does hit that shot. 92-90 now. Jaron Cinco floats it up for Toronto. No good. Carter with the offensive rebound. He is inside for the layup, and we're knotted up at 92. It is now a 1-point Knicks lead. Scotty Barnes misses a 3 throw, but Carter is fair for the offensive rebound. He gets the putback layup, and the Toronto Raptors have the lead for the first time all night. 95-97. Rams is over to Anthony Edwards. Deep 3 is good. The Knicks are back ahead. Tatum called for an over-the-back foul, but the shot still counts. Edwards back with it. Over to Reddish with a nice pass for Cesar DiCarlo, who knocks down the corner 3. So right after the Knicks start to trail, they hit a pair of 3s to put them back up by 4. Pass is stolen away by Reddish. The Knicks now getting some momentum back. Here's Anthony Edwards inside with the finish. Ant starting to make some plays here in the fourth quarter. He's up to 11. 103-97. Cinco inside with the slam. Jaron Cinco continuing to put on a dunk show here today. 99-103. Edwards with the poster. Oh my God. Those guys had a family. Not anymore, that is. Barnes is fouled on the jumper by Edwards, but look at the bottom. Jarrett Allen has been diagnosed with a high ankle sprain. He will likely miss 2 to 4 weeks. Thankfully, the All-Star break is within those 2 to 4 weeks. That's very convenient for the Knicks. So it's good that he won't be out too long. In transition off the steal, Scotty Barnes makes the layup. The Raptors make it a 3-point game. They're within 1 score. They can hypothetically tie it on this possession, but Barnes, it looked like he was blocked. But it was actually a pass inside for Robert Williams, the Time Lord, who makes the play. 105-104 now. Carter, his pass is deflected in the corner. Barnes gets it back over to Carter, to Wagner. That might be the weirdest possession I've ever seen, but it ends in a Franz Wagner 3, and the Raptors had the lead. 105-107. Pass is stolen away. The Time Lord makes another play in transition. Franz Wagner with it. Over to Wendell Carter for the dunk. The Raptors lead by 2 scores, and the Knicks are going to call a timeout as they look to regroup down by 4. Instead of Cesar DiCarlo at point, it is Damian Lillard here for the final 3 minutes of the game as he starts off with a quick pass over to Jason Tatum for the dunk. 107-109. Pass is stolen away by Ramses. Ramses inside for Tatum, who throws it down again, and we are tied. Raptors now have the lead. Shot clock winding down. The Knicks are not getting any open looks, but Tatum knocks down the fadeaway to tie it at 111. Knicks now lead by 2. Ramses steals it away in transition. Ramses with the slam! DJ Ramses puts the Knicks ahead by 4. Cinco over to Barnes. Huge possession for the Raptors. Barnes inside for Williams, and he is no good. Royster with a huge defensive stop. Following possession, blocked by Tatum. The Knicks in transition. Tatum in the corner for Lillard for 3. No good. That could have been potentially the dagger for New York. Following Raptors possession, Ramses tips it again. Williams gets it back. Over to Barnes for 3. No good. Royster with the rebound, and he is fouled. He will miss the first free throw, so the deficit will remain at 4. DiCarlo checks back into the game for Damian Lillard. The second one now for Royster, looking to take his time as it is good. So the Knicks lead by 3. The Raptors call their second to last timeout. While at the inbound, Wagner quickly inside for Robert Williams. He makes the shot, and we are within 3. Who will get the ball for the Knicks? It is Cesar DiCarlo, who is fouled and will get 2 at the line. Even only making 1 makes it a 2-possession game as he sinks the first one. The second one for the Italian Stallion is good. So Cesar DiCarlo goes 2 for 2. The Knicks now lead by 5. Toronto hanging on for dear life. Scotty Barnes drives inside. Barnes' pull-up jumper is good. And again, the lead is back down to 3. The Knicks now call a timeout. Their final. We'll see what they have planned here as they look to clutch out the game. Damian Lillard is back in for New York. It looks like they're going to inbound the ball to him, and he will get to shoot these 2 free throws. A potentially big end to the debut of Damian Lillard as he looks to ice the game as he makes the first one. That'll put the Knicks ahead by 4. Second free throw now for Dame, taking his time. The Raptor crowd on their feet as Lillard sinks it. The Knicks with 5 of their 6 free throws here within the past few seconds. That's a pretty good rate. 5-point lead now. Quick 3 for Barnes is short. Raptors with the rebound. Back to Barnes again for 3. No good. The Raptors get the rebound again, but it won't matter. The Knicks take this one 120-115. Very exciting game down to the wire. But New York is just barely able to hold on against a tough Toronto team. I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys again in the playoffs. They're a really tough squad. Even though they didn't make any moves this year at the trade deadline, I still think they are better than a lot of those teams towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference playoff. Scotty Barnes with 33 and 8. He was really good. Jaron Cinco was also really good with 23, 10, and 7. The problem is this Raptors team is not a very good shooting team. They were not efficient from 3 or from the line, and that's what costed them. As for us, very balanced approach. Nobody really stood out other than Tatum. Dame had a nice debut with 15 and 5 on decent shooting. Ramses and Edwards also with 15. Allen with a double-double. Of course, he got injured. But I think the big difference is that we shot the ball well from 3 in the line, whereas they did not. We're going to simulate up to the All-Star break now, see how we do without Jarrett Allen, who, of course, is going to be out for the next 2 to 4 weeks with a high left ankle sprain. So Zachariah Royster will be able to play the 5. I'm not worried about him holding up. I think he'll be able to manage just fine. I'm worried about the second unit. When he's not in the game, who's going to play center? We're going to give Kyle Anderson some minutes, see if that works, and clearly it didn't because we lost all 3 games without Jarrett Allen. We were out-rebounded in all 3 of them. It wasn't a super wide margin in any of those games in terms of the rebounds, but we were out-rebounded nonetheless. In Damian Lillard's first 4 games with the Knicks, he's been inconsistent. He's had some really good games, but some really bad ones as well. Minnesota ended up going 3-2 since the deadline. Markelle Fultz, through his first 5 games, has been very steady and consistent. In his last game against Charlotte, he had 16 and 11. He was not the only notable performer against the Hornets. Apollo had 40 and 16 on ridiculous efficiency. I still don't get how he was an all-star. I mean, he's been one of the best players in the league. And then Coco had 25 and like 15 or something. So that'll wrap up the episode. Next time around, we're probably going to make it up to the Minnesota game through the All-Star break. The Knicks have a really tough schedule here to end the season, so it certainly should be a challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you thought of the trade deadline down below in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.